Hey guys, we are going to do some more factoring today, and our factoring this time is going to have a GCF, which, in case you forgot what that is, GCF is the greatest common factor. Okay, so we're just going to jump into some practice problems, and I'll show you how to deal with each type. So if we look in this first one, we have 2x squared plus 22x plus 60. And in the last video, we were still factoring, we were still doing this thing. But in the last video, this number in front of the x squared was a 1, right? So we didn't have to worry about it because it was a 1. In all of these problems that we're about to do, that number in front of the x squared isn't 1. It's going to be something else. Okay. So this number in front of the x squared is a 2, but if you notice, the 2 and 22 and 60, those are all even numbers. So you can divide them all by 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out a 2, and then from this first term, if you take 2x squared and divide out a 2, all you have left is x squared. And then I'm going to go to the middle term. If I take 22x and divide out a 2, that means I have 11x left. And then the last term, if you take 60 and divide it by 2, you get 30. Okay, so we just took this guy. We said, ooh, all these are even numbers. We can divide them all by 2. So we took a 2 out, just keep it in front. And we're left with x squared plus 11x plus 30. Now this is like the factoring you were doing or that you saw in the previous video. So we need to think of numbers that multiply to 30 and add up to 11. Remember, it's multiply to the number at the end, add to the number in the middle. So let's start listing our factors of 30. We got 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. Okay. So these are your options. You have to pick a set of these numbers because all these multiply to 30, we need to pick a set of these numbers that will also add up to 11, and that would be the 5 and the 6. So how we're going to factor this problem completely is we're going to keep this 2 out front, and then just like we were doing the other day, you're going to have 2 sets of parentheses. Each one is going to have an x in it, and then the numbers we're picking are positive 5 and positive 6. So plus 5 plus 6. There you go. Okay, so it's the same as we were doing before. You just have to take out the greatest common factor before you start doing this factoring thing. So we're going to do another example. So the next we're going to do is 5x squared minus 30x plus 40. And let's see, 5 and negative 30 and negative 40. All of those you can divide by 5. So we're going to take a 5 out. 5x squared divided out of 5 is just x squared. Negative 30x divided out of 5 is minus 6x. And then take out an 8. Or sorry, 40 divided by 5 gives you an 8. So now we need to find the numbers that will multiply to positive 8, but add up to negative 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list the factors of 8 first, and then we can worry about the negatives later. Factors of 8, we got 1 and 8, and 2 and 4, and that's it. Okay. Now, we need to multiply and get a positive, but we need to add and get a negative. So that tells me that it probably, this is going to involve negatives, right? If we just do 1 times 8, that's 8. If we add those together, that's 9. If the 1 is negative, that would give us 7. That's not negative 6. If we make the 8 negative, that would give us negative 7, which is also not negative 6. So 1 and 8 is out because we can't get a negative 6. Anyway. Okay. Let's see. 2 times 4 gives us 8. And if I make both of them negative, negative 2 plus a negative 4, that's the same as negative 2 minus 4. is -6. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep that 5 out front. I just brought that down. Make your two sets of parentheses, x, x, and then a -2 times a -4 will be a +8, which is what we want. But a -2 minus 4 is -6, which is also what we want. So -2, -4, ta-da, we're done. You can switch this order around. So if you wrote the -4 first and then the -2, it's fine. Okay. So really the only new step we're doing is we're dividing out this number. Now there will be times when there's a number in front and you can't divide everything by that number. We're not going to do that. You'll do that in Algebra 2, and I think you did it in Algebra 1. But just remember, it's a thing that can happen. So let's do another example. All right, here we go. We got another one. Okay. 2x squared plus 6x minus 108. Again, the number in front is a 2, and lucky for us, the other numbers are even as well, so we can take out a 2. That would leave us with x squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so this would be a plus 3x, and then minus 54. So we need factors of negative 54 that we can get a positive 3 out of when we add them together. So I'm going to start listing factors of 54. Let's see, we got 1 and 54, 2 and 27, I think. Yeah. 3 and 18. I feel like there's a lot of these. 4 doesn't work. 5 doesn't work. What about 6? 9 and 6 work. And 8 doesn't work. And then we're back to 9. Okay. So if we need to add together and get a positive 3, well, 1 and 54 is not going to give us a positive 3. So that's it. Same deal. 2 and 27 is not going to give us a 3, no matter how we add them together. So that's out. Same deal, 3 and 18. You can't get a 3 out of 3 and 18 when you add them together, so that's out. So we must need to pick the 6 and the 9. We have to decide which one's going to be positive and negative. We need to multiply. We need to multiply and get negative 54. So one of them has to be negative, because the only way to get a negative when you multiply is a negative times a positive. And we need to add together and get a negative, or and get a positive 3. So if we make the 6 negative, that would be negative 6 times 9 would be negative 54, and negative 6 plus 9 would be positive 3. So hooray, we picked the right one. So we're going to bring down this 2. Okay. And then we're going to make our two sets of parentheses, x in each one. The numbers we're picking, we have a negative 6 and a positive 9. So in one of your parentheses, put a minus 6. And the other one, put a plus 9. There you go. The way I remember how you decide, if you're having a hard time deciding which one is positive or negative, look at the middle term. Okay. Whatever sign it is, the biggest number has to get that sign also. So this is a plus 3. Between 6 and 9, 9's bigger, so 9 gets the plus sign. Okay. If you're the oldest child, you will know that you are sometimes responsible for your younger siblings. Okay. So if you think about these numbers, 6 and 9 as siblings, the oldest number is responsible for the sign. Okay. So the 9 would be the oldest number, the biggest number. So it's responsible for the middle sign. So there you go. Okay, it's just like what we were doing before, just you're dividing out this number in front. It doesn't go away. You have to keep it out there. Okay, but after you pull it out, it's just like the factoring you were doing in the previous video. And let's see, I think we got one more. So let's do this. 4x squared minus 4x minus 8. Those are all divisible by 4. So I'm going to take a 4 out. That would leave me with x squared minus x minus 2. So we need numbers that multiply to negative 2 and add up to negative 1. So lucky for us, there's only one set of factors of 2. The factors of 2 are 1 and 2. Okay. So we're going to keep this 4 out front, parentheses, put an x in each one. Now, if we make the 1 negative, when we add those together, we would get positive 1, which is not what I want. We want a negative 1. So we're going to make the 2 negative, because a 1 plus a negative 2 is negative 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to put a plus 1 in one of these, a minus 2 in the other one, and hooray, we're done. If you have questions about any of that, let me know. Send me a Schoology message. I think you did this in Algebra 1, so I'm hoping this is just review for you. But if not, let me know.